Hello, and welcome to Hawk Mountain Sanctuary's Home Discovery Series. Today's program is Raptors Up Close, Owls Online, with Ridgetop Rachel, Hawk Mountain's senior educator.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Rachel. My name is Jamie Dawson. I'm the Director of Education at Hawk Mountain Sanctuary, and we are so glad that you're joining us today. As you may know, Hawk Mountain is the world's very first sanctuary for birds of prey. And we continue to work hard to be leaders in raptor conservation, science, and education, locally and globally around the world. Hawk Mountain is a private nonprofit, and membership is the lifeblood of our organization. To all of our members, thank you so very much for your continued support. And if you're joining us today and you're not a member, we hope that you consider becoming one in the future. Hawk Mountain hopes that everyone remains safe and healthy during these times of COVID challenges, and we are thrilled to offer our community a variety of free virtual programming. As always, Hawk Mountain greatly appreciates and depends on donations. Just so everyone is aware, today's program is being recorded. The video will then be accessible on Hawk Mountain's YouTube channel as a continued resource. We also have a link on our website directly connecting you to our YouTube channel. At any time during today's program, viewers may submit questions through the Q&A feature on the Zoom platform. We've designated time at the end of the program to take some questions from the audience. And we are so excited that Ridgetop Rachel is joining us today with a very special feathered coworker. Rachel has been working at Hawk Mountain for over 12 years, providing excellent care and training to our avian educators, as well as coordinating our core school and group education programs. Rachel is an essential worker at Hawk Mountain and continues to provide life-sustaining care to our resident raptors, even during our time of closure due to the coronavirus. So thank you, Rachel, for all that you do. And we are all so excited to learn more about totally awesome owls.
Thank you so much. And hello, friends. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all about owls, the mysterious, the secretive world of owls. Well, I'm proud to work at Hawk Mountain Sanctuary, and one of the highlights, besides working with Jamie, is working with feathered educators. These are birds that we are asking them to join us as teachers. And today, you'll have an opportunity to meet a live owl. Before I introduce you, I'd love to tell you why owls are known to be mysterious and secretive. One reason is that they're silent flyers, and that's because of just one of their amazing adaptations. Again, that special tool, like a body part or a behavior that helps them to be successful. Well, I have news for you. One of those adaptations happens to be specialized feathers. Feathers that are so soft, feathers that allow owls to blend in or be camouflaged, and they're so silent when they fly. I brought with me some feathers, including the wing of an owl. And if we're able to look very closely, look at this leading line, this edge, and look for the teeth. Instead of having a smooth edge, look for these little bristles or teeth like you'd see in a comb. Well, it's those little bristles that allow owls to be silent. So let's try it. Let's pretend our hands are wings, owl wings. One of them can be an owl wing. That means let's put your hand up and spread out those feathers, those bristles, and the other one put up. You can pretend you're a falcon or a hawk, a diurnal or daytime raptor that does not have these bristles. Push those little fingers together as tight as you can, cup those, and let's flap them near your ear, and we're gonna compare. Oh my, do you feel the air moving? You probably feel on both ears, you can feel that air moving. However, the hand where your fingers are pressed together should be a little bit louder. If you're like an owl and you had bristles on your feathers, that allows you another adaptation of silent flight. So you can surprise your prey. Now, I want you to take a close look when I introduce you to my coworker to many of her adaptations, including if you're able to see her feet. Her feet are different than a hawk or a falcon or an osprey. Owls, most owls in the world, and by the way, there are more than 200 species of owls worldwide. Most of them have feathers, very delicate feathers. They almost look like fur, all the way down to these very sharp talons, those adaptations that help them catch, grab, squeeze, and kill their prey. Now, just like hawks and falcons, vultures, birds of prey, that means hunters or predators, they are eating meat. They're eating small to medium-sized animals. So that's what makes owls predators. With feathered feet, it's kind of like they're wearing slippers instead of wearing tap shoes that would be very, very loud. If you're going to be a silent flyer, why not wear soft slippers? So some biologists believe that those feathered feet are just another adaptation to help owls be silent. Now, I know I'd like to meet an owl. Who in the audience would like to meet a real owl? We also want to take a look at her eyes, her incredible face, and everything else that you can see or even imagine. I'm going to put on a leather glove. It's not because I'm cold, because here in Pennsylvania, it's a bright, warm, and sunny day, but my arm is going to serve as a perch or a tree branch. And I want to make sure that not only is my branch protected, but I want to provide a stable, safe place for this owl to perch on. So you can take a close-up look. I'll be right back. Owl, be right back. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Wow, thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is my pleasure and really a privilege to introduce you to the largest species of owl that is native to Pennsylvania, where Hawk Mountain Sanctuary is located. This happens to be a great horned owl. Now, I think she's the greatest horned owl because I've worked with this individual owl for over 12 years. She arrived at Hawk Mountain Sanctuary in 2001. So next February, we're gonna celebrate her 20th anniversary being on staff working in the education department. Now, I'm sure you have questions about this individual owl, but since she's looking with her beautiful large eyes, maybe we can take a look. Now, she's rotating her head. She's rotating that head for a number of reasons. Oh, well, she has enormous eyes, and they are fixed on the very front of her head. Now, although she's looking to the side, she's doing that by rotating her very flexible neck with 2 times the amount of vertebrae or neck bones that we have. We have 7. So if you're a math major, you could add 7 and 7 or multiply 7 times 2. She's got 14 bones in her neck. 14. Well, thank goodness she does, because her eyes are fixed on the very front of her face. Now, we also have binocular vision. That means that each of our eyeballs work very specially to see an image, and together they give us a whole picture. But her eyes are enormous. In fact, most species of owls, their eyes take up 70% of their skull, the space in their head. Our eyes, and by the way, we have eyeballs. She doesn't even have eyeballs. She has eye tubes. Our eyeballs take up about 5%, only 5%. So guess what? She has even more adaptations to help her hunt in almost complete darkness. I confidently say that because most owls are nocturnal. That means they hunt at night when most of us are sleeping. So if she turns her head, and she's not my pet, she's my coworker. That's right, and thank you for being our coworker. Take a look at that circular facial disc. That's another adaptation. It serves like a satellite dish. That round circle allows the noise of prey and other noises. It funnels that noise into her ears. Now, right now, I'm reading her body language. So I can see that her feather tufts are tucked back. However, sometimes she communicates when she's alarmed. They stick right up. And some biologists believe that those tufts also help owls hear. Now, some species of owl, they have even more specialized auditory sense or hearing, like the barn owl or the great gray owl. Their ear holes are located diagonally or asymmetrically. That means that one is lower, the left ear hole is lower, and the right ear is a little bit higher. And that allows those owls to pinpoint or triangulate the exact location of a prey item. And that even means maybe a small rodent that's underneath the snow or hiding in a pile of leaves. Oh my goodness. Well, you might be wondering, well, what exactly does that owl eat? Well, in captivity, this owl is provided a wide variety of food, but in the wild, well, guess what? Great horned owls will catch and eat whatever is most abundant and easiest to catch. And that means she's very, very successful. She'll even eat roadkill. And in fact, many great horned owls eat skunks. So almost opposite of the turkey vultures that use their olfactory sense of smell, great horned owls and other owls and most birds do not rely on their olfactory sense or sense of smell. Now, what about this individual bird? Now, I have a mount of the smallest owl in Pennsylvania, the saw-whet owl. Now, this is a mount, it's not a real bird, but it's very, very small. And the great horned owl is the largest. Now, I'm wondering, how can we tell if this is a male or a female? She doesn't wear a dress. She doesn't have a name tag. Guess what? In the raptor world, females are typically larger than males. And just a few years ago, this owl started laying eggs. So we absolutely know she's a female. Now, those eggs that she laid did not hatch into babies. They didn't because she lives by herself. She has a large enclosure and they weren't fertilized because she doesn't live with a male owl. But baby owls are called, do you know what they're called? Yes, they're called owlets. So great horned owls in the wild can be found in almost any habitat. That's another reason that they are so successful. And many species of owl, they don't build their own nest. They're either relying on woodpeckers as their real estate agents, and they live in cavities, or they might nest right on the ground, like a snowy owl nesting in the Arctic, right on the tundra, or a short-eared owl. If you live near a farm, you might see a short-eared owl nesting in the tall grass. Well, great horned owls often take over abandoned crow or red-tailed hawk nests. That's right. Now this individual owl, she's looking around, she's observant. Yet another adaptation. So she's also noticing that I have lots of visual aids to show you. And I have a replica of an owl skull. And I apologize, it's a little hard to see because it's white. But this is a replica, so it's a model, it's plastic, but it shows those enormous eye sockets and they're pointing forward. Yes, that's right. Well, I'm tempted to return this great horned owl to her travel box. That's like her taxi cab or her school bus or her Uber that she uses to travel to work from her home, a large enclosure. But she also wanted me to mention that there are threats. You know, great horned owls are common throughout Pennsylvania, actually throughout North America and South America. However, that doesn't mean that life is easy. And in fact, there are many threats to owls, raptors in general, but this bird was hit by a car. So collisions with vehicles and with windows or buildings certainly is a threat. And pardon us, we have an important message. We would like you to please stop poisoning our food. Rat poison does not just kill rats. So many predators, including raptors, including great horned owls, are poisoned by rodenticide and insecticide, the misuse and overuse of chemicals that we add to our environment. Raptors, like this great horned owl, and all owls, are the most effective mousetrap. So she wanted me to tell you to please stop poisoning her food. Well, I'm going to return her to her travel box. One reason is that I'm not a weightlifter. I like to think I'm tough, especially when I work with an owl whose nickname is the tiger of the forest. You know, like most birds, she has hollow bones, so they're light, almost like a straw, and she's covered with feathers, but she weighs just over, not me, you, over 4 pounds. And if she were able to spread both of her wings and extend them, pardon me, all the way out, her wingspan would be almost 5 feet. And again, she works at Hawk Mountain because she is unable to fly, and because of a permanent wing injury, she's actually unable to extend both of her wings. So when she tries to extend both of her wings for balance, remember, that's why it's really important that when we work with her, we are reducing her stress and providing her a stable perch. When she tries to balance herself, her wings look like an unequal equation. Just, they're not balanced. One is much shorter than the other. So to honor her and make sure that this great horned owl feels confident, I'm going to return her. I want to thank each and every one of you. I've enjoyed this program, taking a very close look, and this is Great Horned Owl's very first virtual program, and we've enjoyed this time with you today. I'll be right back. Thank you. Good girl. Back, back, back. Good girl. Good girl. Ooh. Ooh. All right. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate your patience, and thank you for joining us. And I will do my best to answer your questions. Before Miss Jamie helps me to answer some of your questions, I'd like to empower you with a job. No matter where you live, I guarantee, unless you're in Antarctica, there are owls that live in your neighborhood. You may not see them, and you may not always hear them. However, owls leave other evidence. So if you want to be a nature detective, specifically an owl detective, go outside and look for pellets. What are pellets? A lot of people say, ugh, yuck, that's when they go to the bathroom. Rachel, bleh. And I say, oh no, no, but wait, there's more. Just when you thought owls can't get any cooler, I have news for you. Once an owl uses its incredible auditory sense and vision and element of surprise, many owls swallow their prey whole. I've actually seen owls do this. In fact, my coworker, sometimes I'll see her pick up a mouse one that is not alive, pick it up by the tail and swallow it whole. Well, guess what? About 10 hours later, after she started to digest that food, in her gizzard, that organ that helps to break up all those bones and feathers and fur, all the undigested items, they regurgitates a pellet. And because many owls spend their days roosting or sitting in the same tree, look on the ground for these pellets. And in fact, I could show you this pellet that's behind plastic wrap, and you might be able to find a skull, an entire skull, oh my goodness, and different bones and fur and feathers. And hot off the press, I mean hot off the owl, are some real pellets from, you might be wondering, gee, Rachel, do you just keep calling that bird that owl, like that girl? Well, her nickname behind the scenes is Large Marge. Her name was inspired by a movie because just like that Large Marge character, great horned owls can look very intimidating and very scary, especially if you're a rodent or even a smaller owl. Yes, folks, they will eat smaller owls. So I apologize if it's difficult to see. Take my word for it. This is part of a pellet. Here's another pellet. Oh boy. Just use your powers of observation. Is there a difference? Yes, there's a size difference, but there's also a color difference. So even if you didn't know what I fed her, you might take a guess that this meal or animal, delicious animal, had white fur, and you'd be correct because she had a white rat. And this pellet, oh boy, has dark hair and little bones, and yes, there is a little feather attached, but that was regurgitated after eating some black mice, some delicious black mice. So I wanted to share the wonderful, exciting world of owl pellets with you because many people dissect them, including scientists. And we learn more about owls, we learn more about the habitat and the health of our environment by studying owls and pellets, what they eat. So, Jamie, I'd love to take some questions from the audience.
Absolutely. Rich talk, Rachel. Thank you so much for an amazing program. Your enthusiasm for owls is definitely contagious. Okay, so first question, how long do great horned owls live?
Oh, that's a great question. My job is not to make you sad or depressed. However, in the wild, I just read this. Most great horned owls, and when I mean most, between 75 and 85% of owlets, so those are baby owls that are then fledging, leaving the nest, they don't celebrate their first birthday because they don't make it. Most raptors actually do not celebrate their first birthday because there's the highest mortality rate in the first year. Don't get me started on other threats to raptors. Well, once a great horned owl, for example, survives year one without being hit by a car, without digesting food that's poisoned or being shot, because even up until the mid-1970s, at least in the state of Pennsylvania, you could legally shoot great horned owls and you would be rewarded with a monetary reward or a bounty. So once a great horned owl makes it to year 1, they can live up to 15 or possibly 20 years in the wild. In captivity, with the best care and keeping good animal welfare as number 1, that means nutrient-rich food, vitamins, wellness visits, enrichment. They can live up to 40 years. So she's not even middle-aged.
And she looks
great question.
She looks good for her age, I'll say that.
Oh yeah, no oil of Olay for
Right.
large Marge.
Thank you, Rachel. And you had just mentioned baby owls or owlets, and we have a question about them. What do baby owls eat?
Oh my goodness. They eat what their parents bring them. And if we're talking about great horned owls, then we're talking about the dad, the male, bringing home the bacon, except it's not bacon. It would be small to medium-sized animals and pieces of those animals. That's because we know, based on information from nest cams, which are really cool, and scientific observations from biologists, that it's typically the female that is incubating those eggs with a brood patch. That means if I were a great horned owl and I was laying on eggs and keeping them warm, I would have a patch of skin without feathers, so I could really incubate and keep those eggs warm for the month plus, so 30 days plus that I'm incubating them while the dad goes out and gets the food. He's hunting. That also reminds me, I recently read that the nictitating membrane, that third eyelid that acts like a windshield wiper, protecting the eyeball from dust and wind and debris, it also helps the mom, so the parent owl, it helps to protect those eyeballs from a hungry owlet that might be grabbing, saying, I'm hungry. It actually protects them. So while those owlets are taking little pieces of food. I hope that now I'm getting hungry.
Me too. Thank you, Rachel. So I know you had mentioned earlier that great horned owls will hunt or prey on smaller owls, but we have a question. Will great horned owls hunt other small birds as well?
Yes. Oh yes, confidently. They are generalists. They're not picky eaters. So if you love animals like we love animals, think about the groups of animals and then think about, well, where do you live? Because great horned owls and many owls live in a variety of habitats and ecosystems. What would you eat if you lived in the desert? A roadrunner. So yes, they eat a wide variety, including snakes, toads, frogs, smaller birds, maybe even fish. In fact, there is an owl that's a fishing owl in another country. So they're just so amazingly specialized and adapted for survival. Great question.
Thanks, Rachel. So we have a question about the ear tufts or the feather tufts or the horns of the great horned owl. Someone was asking if they are used, if the great horned owls use their tufts to communicate and recognize each other.
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm not a great horned owl, and I can tell you she does tend to move those tufts, even though they're just feathers. They're not horns, they're not antenna, and no, they're not ears. She definitely uses them to communicate. So even a non-owl like myself, when I'm reading her body language, you know, that helps her to blend in. Oh, you want to know about feather tufts? Come here. This is a photograph of an eastern screech owl. Now, this is an owl that would be found throughout Pennsylvania and many, many parts of the United States. There is a western screech owl, but these are small owls, not the smallest owl, and they also have feather tufts. And although this is a photo, those feather tufts are blending in perfectly with the bark of this tree. So those feather tufts, yes, biologists believe they do use them to communicate and to help them blend in. Now, if I were an eastern screech owl and a great horned owl came by, you better believe I would be, you can't see me, I'm a branch, I'm a branch. And likewise, great horned owls use those feather tufts to blend in. So when a delicious smaller owl or another delicious prey item comes by, it's, you know, using that ambush technique. Great question about the feather tufts. In fact, I'll reveal the behind the scenes. This is what, now this is again a photo, a laminated photo of a barred, B-A-R-R-E-D owl that is common in Pennsylvania in like wet forests. They're typically found around water, but the great horned owl was actually looking, staring, using her powers of observation and looking at this barred owl most of the program. And this is an owl, one example of an owl that does not have those feather tufts or ear tufts.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And a follow-up question on the feather tufts. How come we couldn't see great horned owl's tufts when you had her on your glove? Is she able to?
That's a really good question. I promise they weren't way up here. She just was not. I have no idea. If I could speak owl, or you know Dr. Doolittle's phone number, my guess is that she was concentrating on her surroundings. Again, this is her first Zoom program, so she's looking around the room and maybe just soaking up the atmosphere and felt she didn't need to put up her ear tufts. Every once in a while, I do see them. You know, behavior is the study of one. So depending on what time of the year it is, her behavior can change. Certainly, if you were able to use your own auditory sense, she communicated verbally using her hooting. So she also communicates. Owls communicate. Again, I could talk about owls forever until the owls come home. They communicate as an alarm call, danger, danger. Certainly territorial calls, hey, this is my acre where I live. And they also duet, like the Romeo and Juliet of the bird world. They duet male and female to form that bond or that pair bond because they do not build nests like many other birds where a male and a female would be adding to a nest. So they call to each other. Great question about ear tufts and communication. I don't know.
Thank you so much, Rachel. We have a question. Is it possible to have an owl as a pet?
Very good question. I was not going to mention Harry Potter. Well, it is possible if you have permission from our Keystone State Go Pennsylvania Game Commission and our federal government, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Commission. And even if you have permission and permits, those owls do not belong to you. In fact, our feathered educators who work at Hawk Mountain, they don't belong to Hawk Mountain. We have special permission. They don't make good pets at all, really at all whatsoever. So I would say, you know what, just like me, invest in some owl stuffed animals. drop some hints. Maybe your friends and family will buy you some stuffed animals, or quite seriously, there are other ways to support real owls. One way is supporting conservation through organizations like Hawk Mountain Sanctuary, where we are actively researching, wait a minute, no, I don't have a real snowy owl, but we work with a scientist who studies snowy owls in the Arctic. And in fact, those scientists are generating new information about these birds. So I would say forget about having an owl as a pet. You can support owls in much better ways. Great question.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And we actually had someone on the chat say, can we sponsor Large Marge? And actually, as a nonprofit, sponsorships are so welcome. So feel free to email me, Dawson, DAWSON at Hawk Mountain. Oh geez, is it .com or .org? I just lost my mind.
.org.
Dawson at hawkmountain.org.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Rachel, we have one last question. How far can the great horned owl fly?
Oh boy. Now, I could answer that several different ways. This individual owl does not fly. She hops, so she leaps. Sometimes she lunges, she moves around. She has lots of ramps and different perches and places to move around, and lots of conifers or trees, not only inside but outside her enclosure. So she really likes to move around those trees because she's a master of camouflage. In the wild, I would say any owl is going to move only as far as they need to, because they can't just say, hi, Mom, can I get a ride? Oh, I need a reservation for an Uber. No, moving requires energy. And energy requires hunting and eating food. So I just recently learned that some owls, their territory will be about an acre of space, and many owls, their territory is even smaller, and they stay in that territory year round. Now, if we're talking about migratory birds or moving, that is a great question. And I'll wrap up by encouraging everyone to learn about two projects that are all about owls. One of them is called Project Snowstorm. Think about Project Snowstorm asks that same question focused on the snowy owl. And even some of my friends will say, oh, snowy owls are the largest owl in Pennsylvania. Well, yes and no. They're certainly not the largest year-round residents. However, sometimes, and I mean of some years, we've had eruption years, and I won't give away all the juicy details, but many people wonder, oh my goodness, why are we seeing snowy owls in warm states in the United States where they're out of their territory? Well, scientists at Hawk Mountain are collaborating with other scientists in Project Snowstorm to answer that question, not only by using leg bands, this is just an example of a tool, but also satellite telemetry, like a GPS tracking device that answers those questions. So that's Project Snowstorm. Project OwlNet. Project OwlNet is focused on the tiniest owl found in Pennsylvania, the saw-whet owl. And I better whisper because this would definitely make it to the appetizer part of the menu for the great horned owl. Some people confidently generalize, oh, owls do not migrate. How do we know that? Well, we know that some owls, long-eared owl, the saw-whet owl, they may migrate. We know that they move, and we want to know more information. And we do that by, again, using tools like mist nets, and we put not like this bracelet, but a bracelet with specialized information, numbers and letters that are very special and unique to that individual owl. And we can learn more about those owls and their movement if they are recaptured. Where are they going? These are incredible questions, and I'm just honored and again privileged to share my enthusiasm about the outstanding world of owls and raptors.
Rachel, thank you so much. You gave us a fantastic presentation, and a special thank you to our feathered coworker, Great Horned Owl. Thank you so much. Thank you to our fantastic audience for joining us today. And as Rachel said, so many awesome questions. We really appreciate it. And we have many more exciting virtual programs coming up soon. So this is what's in store. Okay, Thursday, that's tomorrow, May 28th, we have Sanctuary Storytime, A Nest is Noisy at 11 a.m. This Friday, May 29th, we have Farmland Raptors at 4 o'clock p.m. Next Wednesday, June 3rd, we have The Wonders of Wildflowers at 1 o'clock p.m. And next Thursday, June 4th, we have Rosalie Edge, Raptor Hero at 1 o'clock p.m. And next Friday, June 5th, we have Voyages of the Snowy Owl at 4 o'clock p.m. So thank you all so much. Have a fantastic week, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.